Hello, my name is Rebecca DeStefano. I'm an MBA student at Robert Morris University, and I'll be presenting my capstone final project of the strategic analysis of Calgon Carbon Corporation, a Kuraray company. So an overview of the presentation, we'll discuss background of the company, external analysis related to pestle factors and Porter's 5 force analysis, and internal analysis, several aspects of Calgon Carbon Corporation. So right into it, Calgon Carbon Corporation, a Kuraray company, was started in 1942 as Pittsburgh Coke and Chemical to produce gas masks for the military in World War II. Prior to Pittsburgh Coke and Chemical developing the process to make activated carbon from bituminous coal, everything was done through coconuts. The war in the Pacific actually hampered the supply of coconut to the United States, and a new process was needed. Pittsburgh Coke and Chemical came through, developed a process based on bituminous coal that was abundant in the area, and provided gas masks to the military. From that, the activated carbon business grew. In 1985, leadership in a leveraged buyout from Merck fully started Calgon Carbon Corporation as an independent company. They had their IPO in 1987. And operated as a publicly traded company until 2018 when they were acquired by Kuraray, a large Japanese chemical company. By the numbers, Calgon operates 25 sales and distribution sites globally, along with 17 manufacturing sites. They have 1,100 employees, over 700 types of applications are served, and they're a technical company with over 240 patents. So a little bit about activated carbon. It can be made from different raw materials: coal, wood, coconut. Calgon Carbon is the largest producer of coal-based activated carbon, with capabilities for wood and coconut carbon as well. In terms of the technology and what it is, it's a high surface area adsorbent that successfully removes and purifies all different types of process streams. This lends it to applications for drinking water, wastewater, environmental air, industrial applications to remove taste, color, odor compounds, respirator, the original use, and mercury removal from gas streams, such as in coal-fired power plants. To begin the external analysis and looking at pestle factors, the highly influencing factors are really political and legal. Regulations drive environmental business. And as these regulations are enacted, Calgon Carbon can offer solutions based on their products and use of activated carbon to meet the needs as regulations evolve. Economics is also highly influencing. As the global industrial economy fluctuates, so does Calgon's business, serving all of those markets. Socioculture and ecological, as independent people demand clean air and clean water, the use of activated carbon can increase. In addition, reactivation is essentially recycling and reusing activated carbon, and it reduces carbon dioxide in the manufacturing process and offers sustainability solutions to customers. Low influencing factors, really technology. It's a mature industry. It's a bulk handling industry in terms of how much, millions of pounds of raw materials, millions of pounds of product that have to be produced and moved. There's no app for production or use of carbon. There is an app for calculating how best to use it, but really it's a mature industry that's really not going to digitally change much. But enhancements in manufacturing, operations, transportation on a technology side could actually affect the business a bit. For Porter's 5 force analysis, highly influencing factors are competition. It's a highly competitive industry. It's extremely competitive especially globally, and power of suppliers are relatively high as well. So metallurgical-based bituminous coal is also used in the steelmaking industry. Activated carbon is a much smaller industry relative to steel, so in terms of pricing power, there's not much there, as the primary source for that raw material is not activated carbon, only for our business. So competition and power suppliers are highly influencing factors. Low factors include threat of new entrants. There's a significant capital requirement to enter the business, and difficulty with transportation and processing all that raw material. Threat of substitution is low. Activated carbon is very unique, so the synthetic adsorbent really cannot match performance on a price-performance business model. And power of buyers is relatively low. In certain applications that can vary, but in general it's relatively low. Moving on to the internal analysis of Calgon Carbon Corporation, the mission is to develop and apply activated carbon technologies to protect people and the environment from contaminants in water, air, food, and industrial processing, while developing and maintaining a highly motivated workforce that has a strong commitment to its customers, stakeholders, and society. The focus of this mission statement and what differentiates it from most of its competitors is actually the focus on activated carbon. It's an activated carbon business. That's the core business, and it's stated right in the mission statement. And also the utilization of our products to protect public health, protect people, and the environment. So very clear mission statement of what the values of the company and the focus of the company really is. With respect to competition, the three main competitors in the U.S. include Cabot, Ingevity, and Evoqua. Cabot actually is a large chemical corporation. They're very basically a conglomerate that purchased an activated carbon company. They emphasize cost leadership as their strategy. Their weakness is really technical depth in terms of providing long-term support to their customers. Ingevity is a wood-based carbon company. They are very technical, but they serve fewer markets and really a focus on the automotive market. That's their strength, and they dominate that market. So a weakness would be a lack of diversification into other areas, but where they do operate, they do very well. Evoqua has activated carbon offerings, but really they are a water treatment technologies company, and they have many, many different types of operations that can treat water, with carbon being one of them. So their weakness is really the complexity of the business and the lack of focus on activated carbon. So where Calgon Carbon operates, its strengths would be technical capability in terms of manufacturing and distribution and technical support, sales support, and R&D. And weaknesses really are the balance between offering that differentiation strategy with trying to maintain cost competitive against competitors that are operating under cost leadership strategy. So briefly looking at financial analysis, performance drivers based on 2017 financial data are listed here. In general, Calgon is firmly in the middle, not the best, not the worst in any of the ratios here. But one thing that did jump out in terms of, operating under a differentiation strategy, the R&D spend for CCC is a bit low, definitely lower relative to competitors. Granted, their full spend is not all on activated carbon. So maybe the total dollar amounts are closer, but it does highlight as you pursue differentiation, you need to have support for new products through R&D, so that could be a potential issue. The 5-year period 2013-2017 revenue and income chart is shown as well. As you can see, 2013, 14, 15 was pretty consistent and very good. In 2016, there was a downturn in the economy, and both revenue and net income fell. And in 2017, while revenue recovered, net income did not to the same level, directly an effect of mostly cost of goods sold there. So it raises some of the challenges in the competition within the industry, the challenges of supporting the industrial market, and can kind of highlight some of the reasons that perhaps the decision was made to sell the company to Ferrari, which as a large company can support those fluctuations and normalize the business a bit. In looking at a SWOT analysis to define the generic strategy and core competencies of the company, the strengths of Calgon Carbon are definitely technical leadership, as well as their global footprint. As I said, it's been established that way for about 30 years, and their technical leadership has been since the beginning of the company. Weaknesses include balancing differentiation with the highly competitive environment. And again, it's identified through the financial analysis, R&D investment is a potential weakness to support that strategy. Opportunities include as regulations are enacted, the business can support them, and the business will grow based on those regulations. Reactivation to support customer sustainability objectives is also an opportunity as environmental concerns increase. Threats include the Chinese tariff. So currently, there is a tariff in place on imported steam-activated carbon from China due to a dumping strategy that China engaged in the early 2000s. If that tariff were not renewed, there could be a negative impact on the business. And this does affect business globally as well, where tariffs are not in place. Other threats are regulations not enacted. So if those regulations never happen, then there's no real requirement to treat. So then carbon business doesn't grow based on the regulation. And again, as a global company, strength of the dollar is also very important for something to be cognizant of. So these competencies, this leads to definition of the generic strategy. Differentiation is how Calgon has operated and continues to operate using their core competencies in technical leadership and carbon manufacturing and application support. In terms of their value chain, with raw materials, it's really addressing the power of the suppliers based on the Porter's 5 Force identification as a influencing factor. With manufacturing, there are decades of experience to leverage that helps support optimization and efficient manufacturing of activated carbon. The same is true for the distribution network. As you can see, truckloads of carbon are involved, multiple truckloads, multiple sites across the globe, shipping containers, all of that thing is very important to the company. And then their technical support has also been an emphasis with application engineering, technical sales representation, and then post-sales support. In terms of growth and global footprint, they are a global company, North America, Europe, Asia, South America. They've made investments in internal capacities in terms, most recently, of a 50 million pound expansion to the Mississippi plant. There have been some targeted acquisitions for specialty carbon and reactivation capabilities, as well as wood-based carbon, and ultimately led to Kuraray acquiring CCC to support growth even further. The diversification strategy of Calgon Carbon is really dominant business. Activated carbon is the major business. Broad product diversification, global geographic diversification, and improvements upon this will be expanding the sustainability model to Asia. It's well established in the US and EU based on reactivation capabilities. Expansion to growing market in Asia is important for the company. The organization of the company is really rooted in traditional manufacturing, hierarchical, specialized, functional, mechanistic, with top-down decision-making. There is a high emphasis on ethics and accountability within the company, well-established policies and procedures, but this does clash a little bit in terms of a diversification strategy. It's really organized for cost leadership. So that brings me to conclusions regarding the strategic challenges and the recommendations. So the strategic challenge identified in this analysis is really a blue ocean versus a red ocean. So a differentiation strategy, but in a cost leadership environment with high level of competition turns the blue ocean into a red ocean. So how can Calgon Carbon offer value innovation and differentiate further to separate themselves from the competition? With that, recommendations include the organizational structure, which is a very traditional type structure supported for or designed really for a cost leadership strategy to improve differentiation and creativity and brainstorming and everything needed to begin to fully differentiate new products long-term. Changes to the organizational structure would be beneficial. Also, R&D spending, as it was identified as one of the lower ratios relative to competition. To support a differentiation strategy, R&D spending should increase, as well as a focus on technical leadership and continued technical leadership within the company and within the industry. And then finally, reactivation as a long-term way to increase sustainability and environmental responsibility across all the different customers. That's something that's unique to reactivated or to activated carbon, and something that the company can continue to pursue as a leader in that technology. So that is the conclusion of my presentation. These are the references used in this analysis. Thank you very much.